It's been 30 years since the Kobe earthquake struck Japan, killing more than 6,000 people. I'm King 5's Leah Pizzetti. We now take a look back on the impact from that disaster in 1995 and everything that's changed since then.
A Northwest woman has now been found dead in the rubble left from Monday's killer quake. 53-year-old Donna Jean Miller of Portland had been working in Kobe for the past 4 years teaching English. This woman was luckier. She was found alive. But such happy endings are becoming rare as aftershocks and bitter cold and time take their toll. About 280,000 people who can make up a city half the size of Seattle are living in shelters and existing on meager handouts from the government. But the handouts are not enough. Even the government admits that, and some people are criticizing it.
If they have a clear problem in front of them, they're great. They're the best in the world. They get in there, they cooperate, but they cannot cope with the unexpected.
But as help starts to arrive from abroad, including from the U.S., the government promises it will do whatever it takes to recover. Meanwhile, thousands are leaving.
I'm going towards Nishinomiya. My cousin is there. I've got tea and food.
But for many of these strong-willed people, what they have is what they'll count on.
Miracle rescues keep sparing the lives of more people in Kobe's earthquake catastrophe. In the past hours, 10 people have been pulled alive from the rubble. Among them, this old woman, whose cries for help were finally heard. Teams of Swiss search dogs continue combing through the debris. They are being helped by Seattle native Karin Zog, who is translating for the dog handlers. Zog says hope is fading fast for finding more people alive.
And in terms of finding live people, there needs to be some space for the people to be able to be alive in there and under the rubble. And unfortunately, what has happened is mostly anybody that was on a first floor of a building was just crushed and killed instantly.
The Japanese government is now admitting its response to the quake has been confused. More than 300,000 people remain huddled in freezing shelters and are sharing scarce food. And despite an outpouring of offers of aid from foreign governments, the only outside help Japan has accepted so far are the rescue dogs and U.S. Army blankets.
We are still trying to carry out our rescue operations. And if we need more, and if we can't find locally, we do not hesitate to ask these generous governments to help us.
Kobe city officials say their main priority now is to clear major streets and highways of debris so relief supplies can make their way to the stricken area. Some of those supplies will be coming from the Northwest. 200,000 pounds of goods, including canned food and juice, will fly out of SeaTac early Sunday morning, bound for Osaka. Jim Foreman, King 5 News.
It's Monday in Kobe, and the city is at least drying out. Heavy rains hit over the weekend, making a terrible situation even worse for the nearly 300,000 people left homeless by the earthquake. The government has ordered a fifth of the country's construction resources diverted here. Authorities predict the city's toppled main highway will be demolished within a week, so rebuilding can begin. Gas service won't be restored for at least 6 more weeks, and the shattered system still flares up occasionally. Fortunately, firefighters now have some sources of pressurized water, scarce during the worst of the destruction last week. And somewhere in all this mess, rescue crews found 2 more people alive today. That search continues as Japanese soldiers and volunteers scramble to find the living and the dead.
Anyone that is okay is down at City Hall being mobilized to volunteer and try to just help cope with a lot of the things that need to be done right now. There's so many people that are homeless that cannot go back to their homes. They're trying to estimate how many temporary houses they need to build.
The Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake of 1995 destroyed several water lines in Kobe, cutting water to the city for 3 days. As a result, entire neighborhoods burned to the ground because there was no water to put the fires out. Drinking water had to be trucked in for months.
Part of preparing for the next earthquake is to make the plant more resilient. So some of the things that the people of Kobe have done have been installing more flexible pipes that they will give the next time the big earthquake starts shaking the plant. Another thing they've done is they have replaced the joints making them much more flexible in case the earth starts shaking.
The city has installed this 8-foot diameter water main deep, deep underground. It's made of quake-resistant cast iron. Here's a cross-section look at the main. It sits in an 11-foot diameter tunnel that's just over 8 miles long. In an earthquake, it can store 59,000 cubic meters of water, enough to supply the city's 1.3 million people with 3 liters per person for 12 days. The city has also been replacing all of its aging pipelines to homes and businesses using either flexible but tough polyethylene pipes or iron pipes with joints that slide like pistons but don't break. Other pipes have an articulated joint that bends like a straw and could straddle a fault line. Replacing nearly 3,000 miles of water lines is a time-consuming process. The city is just 36% complete after 22 years. But when it's done, the water manager says, I expect zero disruption.
Trees of flowering cherry blossoms and a lot of green space for concerts and events.
A group of journalists gets to experience a powerful earthquake.
Whoa! It's even getting harder and harder!
Similar to the one that leveled Kobe 22 years ago.
Wow.
At the Ikebukuro Life Safety Learning Center in Tokyo, they also taught us how to properly put out the fire that inevitably comes afterward.
People need the tools to survive and recover.
We asked Jeffrey Getty, a disabled Army vet, Red Cross volunteer, and owner of AmericanPreparedness.com, what you need in your survival kit so you can survive at least 3 days.
You have flashlight, D-cell, which is standard, light sticks. You have 2 sources of heat. You have a space blanket. You have heat pads. You have a poncho. You have a first aid kit. You have the food, the water, the hygiene kit.
Getty says to keep your kit behind the driver's seat in your car, not in the trunk where it can get crushed. Getty says it's all about preparedness, not fear.
Hope we never have to use these tools in a disaster, but I'm going to be very happy that my family's got them when one occurs.
I'm getting under the table!
And like the Japanese, it's a good idea to practice duck, cover, and hold with your kids or at the office. I found out the hold part is very important so you don't get thrown around. In Japan, they've even made refreshing your survival kits a social event. These are the Busai Joshi, or Disaster Prevention Girls, at Kobe Gakuin University. They come up with recipes for rations coming close to their expiration date and share the food at events and parties.
Kobe and Seattle are sister cities, and even 30 years later, that devastation still holds significance here in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for being with us.